that was kind of the outgrowth of the Philadelphia recording guarantee. Right. Well, the problem is, then that cut off a whole body of literature like Haydn symphonies and the large instrumental chamber works from being recorded, because you'd have to pay the whole orchestra, and it just wasn't, you know, monetarily able to do that. So then we wrote some sections of, you know, that enabled us to go and record.
It was under 26 people.
Yeah, we put all kinds of little funny rules in there, you know, that you kind of had to know the business in order to maneuver around the rules. But if you knew the business, you could maneuver with the rules and get done what you did. And you know, we did that. I remember one time when Fred was involved, we came up with this formula for trying to record chamber music that was based on sessions. We said, look, if you'll agree to guarantee 10 sessions, we'll give you carte blanche. Well, they didn't want to guarantee it. So anyway, we got into it, and finally we came up with this formula, and the lawyer for the other side says to Fred, do you work for the National Football League? You know, this is an agreement lot of sports. And we said, yeah, that's where we got it. Yeah. So we actually copied that out of some of the sports agreements. But so, you know, we would do things like that. The best one we ever did in a national negotiation was with PBS. For some reason, PBS and ICSOM hated each other. I don't know why. When I think back on it now, I don't know why, but we did. Something about PBS just rubbed us the wrong way. Anyway, we went into a negotiation one time, and PBS made such jerks out of themselves that their lawyer came over and sat with us. you know what that means when a lawyer goes and sits with the opposite side. We thought that was pretty funny. But you know, so we used to have fun at the negotiations sometimes.
So, if once upon a time orchestras actually made significant income, and I know the managements did, but certainly the musicians did, from doing media, and we don't now.
Right.
What's the value in doing media for us?
I think that the value we have for doing media now, besides musical reasons, like for instance, I think that the
what do you mean by musical reasons?
Well, the Adams is an example of musical reasons. Okay, this is a very prestigious American composer. You know, there's a recording company that is devoted to having the body of his work on recording, and you know, I think that's a good reason to have those recordings. They are not, everybody isn't going to run out and buy a John Adams recording, as you well know. But I think, nonetheless, it's a good idea to have, you know, to have those recordings. But the other reason is, in this day and age, is marketing. It's marketing and audience development. That's the reason to record now. Like, for instance, you know, we need, and I think that we have it, but we don't have a recording of the St. Louis Symphony with our music director in St. Louis. You know, if you go into a coffee shop or you go into a bookstore, you know, in St. Louis, you'll sometimes see recordings of foreign orchestras, but not of the St. Louis Symphony. And we're going to make an archival recording of, you know, SLSO greatest hits, sampler recording. We're probably going to do it for nothing and let the management distribute them out there and put them in every coffee house and bookstore in St. Louis, and maybe even with a little slip of paper that says, bring this to the hall and you'll get a 50% discount on your ticket, you know, that kind of stuff like that. And that's what we need recordings for. We don't need, you know, there is no market for classical music now. What market there exists is easily satisfied by the enormous, and as you know, it is enormous.
The back catalog.
How many, catalog that's out there. How many recordings of the Beethoven Ninth do you want, for crying out loud? So, you know, that's what we need. We need recordings now, I think, mostly for marketing, mostly for audience development. And you know, we'll make those recordings and we'll make them out of archival recordings where it doesn't cause us any extra work. So I think that's going to be the wave of the future. There's talk now of somebody's come up with some software so that you can come out of a concert and buy a recording of the concert. It's in San Diego, that San Diego software. Right. So they've come up with that, and even though the LSO tried that and it failed miserably, I talked to the LSO and they all they did was mutter about how badly it failed. But even so, I think it, again, for marketing purposes, might be worthwhile to offer that service, to the audience. You're looking around for ways to add value to symphonic concerts. It's not enough anymore to do what we've done for 100 years in this business, where people come to the hall, they sit there for 2 hours and they listen to the concert, and then they give a standing ovation.
And then they go home.
Yeah, and then they go home. I mean, that's not working too well. You've got to have value added to the concert. You've got to have cocktail parties. You've got to have talks by musicians. You've got to have, buy the recording. I think that's going to be the things that we're going to need to do to keep our audiences buying tickets for the live concert, which is really where the action is. Right. So that's what I see. We need agreements that will address that area, or the orchestras are just going to do it. And so we can either have agreements, or the orchestras will make their own agreements.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Interesting.
Well, always glad to relive the old days.
Thank you.